We have partnered with a world-renowned RF designer. They have looked at our network, they've looked at what's the most efficient placement and the best location for these towers. The design that we have is so solid.
Being able to place your network where you have designed your network means that the customer will have faster data, the customer will communicate better, which is ultimately what the goal should be.
We are ready. Turn us on.
Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into NB12 Weekend, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight in news, the Mortgage Corporation's immediate past chairman says the government isn't being honest about its finances. This as an outspoken FNM MP slams the Prime Minister's budget communication. Another murder recorded in the capital, plus major upgrades on the way for Family Island Airport. I'm Paige McCartney, and we've got those stories and more straight ahead on NB12 Weekend. To NB12, calling the Prime Minister's 2015-2016 budget communication a deflection from the real issue of government spending, former chairman of the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation, Dr. Duane says plans to construct 1,000 new homes through a $100 million bond is fiscally schizophrenic. Sands told NB12 that a lot of effort has gone into painting a rosy picture that the economy is better than it really is. He said while he understands the Prime Minister's aim to inspire hope among citizens, it must be done honestly.
In a budget address which showed a fair bit of fiscal constraint, I think the Right Honorable Prime Minister lost, in my opinion, a huge amount of points when he decided to throw in a bunch of pork barrel 1,000 homes. We have $1 billion worth of unpaid commercial and mortgage loans. We have reams and reams of homes on the market. And now you're saying that the government of the Bahamas is going to give a stimulus program to the construction industry to build even more inventory that people can't pay for.
The former BMC chairman said all this praise the government is giving itself for reducing the deficit doesn't cancel out the country's growing debt, and adding $100 million to it for an already saturated housing market makes no sense.
And so I say to the Prime Minister, if you are going to say to people that we have to now pay as we go, and that hope means that we will work together in order to solve our problems, then why promise them something that you know the country cannot afford?
Sands said the Bahamas is on the brink of a mortgage collapse similar to the one that happened in the United States in 2008.
Why don't you take that $100 million and provide tax relief to the private sector so that they can employ Bahamians, so they can get jobs, so they can get careers, so that they can work to pay off their mortgages, as opposed to taxing that same sector so that you can give people some $300 a week jobs that they still can't afford to maintain their homes. It just simply doesn't make sense.
He added the Mortgage Corporation is already challenged in maintaining its existing housing programs because of the lack of political commitment. What will make things worse, he said, is making promises to Bahamians that no one can afford.
What we saw as we look towards the future is a fiscal time bomb about to hit the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation, where more than $100 million worth of debt is going to become payable, where the sinking fund, which was the fund set up in order to ensure payment of the debt that was accrued by the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation, is underfunded by almost $100 million.
Well, a man was gunned down near the park in Yellow Elder Gardens last night, becoming the country's 63rd murder victim for the year. Reports are that the victim was near the park when an armed assailant shot him multiple times. Superintendent Bernard Bonamy from the Central Detective Unit gave these details on the scene.
We see a report of a male being shot on Duane Road, and it takes you into the park of the Yellow Elder Garden area. Responding officers on arrival discovered a male lying in the grassy area on his back, clad in a short blue pants and a white shirt. This male had some multiple gunshot wounds to the upper body. EMS responded and pronounced him lifeless.
Police do not have a motive at this point and are appealing to anyone with information on this latest killing to contact them.
Our information is telling us that sundown around 9, this male was walking on the park when he was accosted by a lone gunman wearing a gray hoodie jacket. This male produced a firearm and started shooting in the area of the deceased, who started to flee. He later collapsed on the side of the road where he was found by the police officers.
Well, Long Island MP Loretta Butler Turner says the Prime Minister's recent budget communication in the House of Assembly was one big disappointment. The Long Island MP says she heard very little about government's plans to improve economic growth on the Family Islands, including her own constituency. Here's Simone Davis.
The Long Island MP said there was nothing impressive or exciting about the Prime Minister's budget communication in the House of Assembly because she heard nothing about how the Christie administration plans to revive the lives of the many Bahamians already struggling, especially those on the Family Islands.
I think that this budget certainly did not give me any reason to be excited from what the Prime Minister has said, because the most vulnerable among us, when they're hurting, that means that the country really cannot be very happy with its economic situation.
During the budget communication, Christie touched on developments planned for some of the Family Islands, including Grand Bahama, Bimini, Exuma, San Salvador, Andros, and Eleuthera. But Butler Turner said there was nothing specific on immediate solutions to help the many Bahamians who are struggling on those islands. The Long Island MP said she's concerned because the Christie administration revealed no plans for Long Island, even after the Prime Minister previously stated that the island has shown economic growth. She said this shows that the government does not have the political will to focus on reviving the Family Islands.
The Prime Minister himself said no longer than last week that Long Island actually produces some of the best mid-management people throughout the Bahamas. You would think that you'd want to encourage and incentivize and encourage your people so that they can continue to produce this level of persons that are responsible citizens of the Bahamas. I don't envy any island that gets any sort of promotion. I just wish that it could be more equitable in what happens across the board. I think that the future of the Bahamas certainly lies in the diversification of the Family Island development, and it doesn't appear to me that the government has the political will to make that happen.
The Long Island MP also said the only way that the government will see significantly increased revenue is if it focuses on developing other islands instead of placing so much emphasis and attention on New Providence.
We're still very Nassau-centric, and then of course there are certain specific islands which we seem to have a great deal of interest in that we continue to incentivize. Obviously, they've continued with the initiative to ensure that we can still bring in the duty-free building supplies. That's something that's not new. That's been ongoing now for a number of years because of the depressed state of our economy. But, you know, if every island of the Bahamas had the equity that others have, then I think we'd see further growth in our GDP.
She added that the government has a habit of making promises to Bahamians and not keeping them, which causes people to lose hope.
Well, it's very important for me to remind the government and the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance in particular with regards to the promises that have been made, not only in the Charter for Governance, but also words that he's uttered in the House of Parliament. People need to not lose hope. And when you're constantly told that something's going to happen and it doesn't happen, then of course people begin to doubt whether there is anything real that will eventually happen.
Reporting for NB12 Weekend, I'm Simone Davis.
Well, the Queen of Bacchanal is here, bringing another soca fest to the Bahamas 3 weeks after Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival. Lucy herself landed in the capital this morning ahead of her concert tonight, where fans are expected to get a little loose. At a press conference today, Destra Garcia said she's excited to feel the energy Bahamians will bring to the concert grounds.
This time there's a little bit of an extra something. It's buzzing, like, you know, I can't go anywhere without people saying, Destra, I love Lucy. Usually it's just, you know, Destra, I love you, I love this song, I love that song, I love the other song, you're such a great performer. But this time it's like Lucy, Lucy this, Lucy that, oh my God. I came into the airport and people were calling me Lucy. They're like, is that Lucy? But you know, that's happening everywhere since I did this song.
The gates to the concert open at 8 with a little Bahamian flavor from Bahamian musical legend Ronnie Butler and Visage. After that, the Bacchanal Queen will take the stage. She promises to give Bahamians just what they're hoping for.
And I think I'm interested in seeing what Bahamas is going to do with Lucy. Everywhere I've been so far, whether it was St. Lucia, because I opened the Jazz this year, I was in Toronto last night, and the same thing happens every time. They make me stop so they could sing. And in fact, I don't even hear my own voice because everybody's singing, I grew up as a real good girl. Even the guys are singing, I grew up as a real good girl. It's crazy.
Stay with us when MB12 returns to look at how the new modern radar control room at LPIA will make flying safer in the Bahamas. Plus, plans to improve Family Island airports are in the works. We'll tell you about those and other stories when we come right back.